Midnight. The Mediterranean is black glass. British warships steam toward the Italian coast, unaware that above them, in the darkness, Italian aircraft are dropping flares. Suddenly, the sea is bathed in cold white light. The British ships are exposed, silhouetted against the burning horizon. And closing fast, from three directions, are Italian cruisers and destroyers. Their guns are loaded. Their torpedoes are armed. The range is closing to point blank. This is the moment the Regia Marina was built for. Fast ships, night attacks, aggressive tactics in narrow seas where capital ships can't maneuver. For a brief, terrifying period, the Italian Navy controlled the central Mediterranean, not through brute force, but through speed, audacity, and the willingness to fight in conditions where technology mattered less than nerve. But wars aren't won in single battles. And the same Navy that fought with such ferocity would find itself starved of fuel, hunted by aircraft it couldn't defend against, and trapped in a sea that became its graveyard. This is the story of every major Italian warship used in World War II. Not why they lost, but why they came so close to winning. And what happens when doctrine, design, and industrial reality collide with an enemy that controls the skies. Battleships Connie D. Cavour and Giulio Cesare. These ships were survivors of World War I, stripped down and rebuilt in the 1930s into modern-looking battleships. Faster, longer, and rearmed with powerful guns, they symbolized Italy's belief that modernization could overcome age. At the Battle of Calabria in 1940, Giulio Cesare exchanged long-range fire with British battleships, proving that Italy's rebuilt giants could still fight. But their protection was compromised, and their underwater defenses were outdated. They could fight, but only under perfect conditions Italy rarely controlled. Andrea Doria and Caio Duilio. Sisters to the Cavour class, these ships were modernized later and saw less combat. They existed largely as fleet-in-being vessels, too valuable to lose, too vulnerable to risk. Their presence deterred, but their impact remained limited. Littorio and Vittorio Veneto. These were Italy's true modern battleships. Fast, heavily armored, and armed with 9 15-inch guns, they were designed to dominate the Mediterranean. Their innovative Puise torpedo defense system was meant to absorb underwater explosions and keep them afloat. Vittorio Veneto fought at Cape Matapan, surviving torpedo hits, but unable to save the cruisers destroyed in the night ambush. Their power was real, but their freedom to use it was not. Roma. The most advanced Italian battleship ever built. Roma never faced the British fleet she was designed to destroy. In 1943, after Italy's armistice, German aircraft struck her with guided bombs. She exploded and sank, killing over 1,300 sailors. Italy's finest battleship died without firing her guns in anger. Aircraft carriers. Aquila. Converted from a passenger liner, Aquila was Italy's attempt to enter the carrier age. She was nearly complete by 1943, but delays, shortages, and strategic paralysis meant she never launched aircraft in combat. Sparviero. A smaller conversion project, abandoned before completion. Together, Aquila and Sparviero represent the Regia Marina's greatest failure, not of design, but of timing. Without carriers, Italian fleets sailed under hostile skies, blind and exposed. Heavy cruisers, Trento and Trieste, built for speed and long-range fire. These cruisers could outrun almost any opponent. But thin armor made them fragile. Trento was sunk by torpedoes in 1942, her speed meaningless once caught. Zara. Heavily armored and powerful, Zara represented a shift toward survivability. That armor meant nothing at Cape Matapan, where radar-guided British battleships obliterated her at point-blank range. Fiume. Sunk alongside Zara, destroyed in minutes without ever seeing her attacker. Her crew died in darkness, victims of a technological gap Italy could not close. Pola, crippled earlier in the battle. Pola. Stopped dead in the water, becoming a death trap that drew the rest of the division into destruction. Gorizia. the only Tsar-class cruiser to survive Matapan, later sunk by air attack in port. Bolzano, a hybrid design, repeatedly damaged, eventually scuttled. A symbol of Italian persistence and attrition. Light cruisers. Alberto di Giussano. Fast but lightly protected, she was sunk during convoy operations, proof that speed alone could not save a ship under constant air and submarine threat. Luigi Cadorna, representative of early condottieri cruisers. Brilliant on paper, vulnerable in reality. Raimondo Montecuccoli. A more balanced design, surviving intense operations and showing Italy's gradual improvement. Duca d'Aosta. Well protected and reliable, she survived the war, rare among Italian cruisers. Giuseppe Garibaldi. Italy's finest light cruiser. Balanced, resilient, and modern. She survived the war and later served post-war Italy, a rare success story. Destroyers. Commissionera. A Soldati-class destroyer that fought relentlessly in convoy escort and surface actions before being sunk. Avier. Escorted convoys through constant air attack. She was sunk in 1942 while defending supply lines to North Africa. Janier. Survived intense combat and continued operations even as Italy's strategic position collapsed. Navigatori-class leaders. Larger destroyers meant to lead attacks. Fast, heavily armed, and exposed. Many were lost attempting aggressive torpedo runs. Italian destroyers fought at night, at close range, where courage mattered most, and survival mattered least. Submarines. Marconi, representative of Italy's large ocean-going submarines. Capable but vulnerable, operating from Battleships in the Atlantic. Cagni, a rare success story, sinking multiple Allied ships on a single patrol. Human torpedo units. Italian frogmen infiltrated Alexandria Harbor in 1941, crippling British battleships without firing a shot. It was one of the most daring naval raids of the war. When steel failed, ingenuity struck. Escorts and fast attack craft. Spica-class torpedo boats. Small, fast, and heavily armed, defending convoys in deadly waters. MAS boats, tiny torpedo craft that attacked under cover of darkness, sinking ships far larger than themselves. Minesweepers and auxiliaries. They cleared paths through minefields and died doing it. Without them, nothing moved. The Regia Marina was not a weak navy. It was a modern, well-trained, aggressive force that fought with skill and determination. Italian warships were fast, well-designed, and often technologically advanced. Italian sailors fought courageously in battles where they were outnumbered, outgunned, and operating without air cover. But the Regia Marina was defeated not by inferior ships or cowardly crews. It was defeated by geography, logistics, and air power. Italy couldn't protect its ships from British carrier aircraft. It couldn't fuel its fleet when convoys were interdicted. It couldn't replace losses when British intelligence decrypted Italian codes and ambushed convoys. The Mediterranean became a trap. Every sortie risked ambush. Every convoy required escorts Italy couldn't spare. And as fuel stocks dwindled, as air superiority shifted permanently to the Allies, Italy's beautiful, fast warships became steel coffins anchored in port, waiting for bombers to finish them. The story of the Regia Marina is a reminder that wars are won not by the best ships, but by the nation that can fuel them, protect them, and replace them when they sink. Italy had courage. Italy had skill. Italy had beautiful ships. But courage and beauty don't win wars when your enemy controls the skies and stars your fleet of fuel. If you want to explore more about the warships, tanks, and aircraft that shaped World War II, this channel covers the machines that defined history with the depth and honesty they deserve. Consider subscribing for more serious military history content. Thanks for watching.